Welcome to Workhorse Wrestling Network Under the Radar. I put episode 12 in the description, but I think it's actually 15. I apparently can't count or can't read properly, so I believe this is actually episode 15. Um, I think the mental block is that I've only been on 12 of them because you've done like 3 or 4 alone. So there you go. Um, but yes, we are here again for another episode of Under the Radar, where myself and my co-host right over here, this way actually, I guess we go see him. We talk about MLW. Well, I talk about MLW. She talks about BTE. Then we talk about AEW Dark, AEW Dark Elevation, Impact, now Ring of Honor. And as soon as Tyrus is gone from NWA, I'll start watching that and I'll talk about that too.
The hell no. They made him the champion.
I
No
know,
shit.
but he'll
Fine.
be gone at some point.
They just had
Uh,
him in Fox News with the belt.
Yes, no doubt. That I can't do for sure. I cannot watch it with the belt. So I guess, as usual, I will talk about MLW for a few minutes. Let's see here. If I can make it work. All right. So this week was actually a really good week. This last Tuesday, the 21st. There were 2 title matches. The show opened with Hammerstone versus Jacob Fatu for the title. This was their best match so far. I think that this is their 3rd match now. Um, this was their best one so far. Solid, just a solid match. I give it 4 out of 5 stars. Hammer won, so he retains the title. We'll see what happens next. The Hive attacked Hammer, which is Raven's group. They were the ones that were leaving cards on people after beating them up in the back. It's called The Hive. It's led by Raven, but he's not actually wrestling, or at least I haven't seen him wrestle yet. It's mostly just his cohorts. There's 3 of them. Uh, so they attacked Raven, or they attacked Hammer after the match, and I think the main guy, Stephen Page, wants a title shot with Hammer. So that's probably where we're going to go, but we'll have to see. Very solid match. Check it out for sure. Then we had Mance Warner, who is a staple on MLW, but he brought along with him his friends Matthew Justice and I'm drawing a blank on the other guy's name from Second Gear Crew. They are staples on GCW, and it's the first time that the Second Gear Crew has been on MLW together as a team. So Masters brought his boys with him. They cut a nice promo. They're going to take MLW to a new level of violence. Excuse me. Then we got a video package for Battle Riot, which is coming up in April, which will be on Reels. Um, we got um, Mr. Saint Laurent, the spokesman for Microman, the amazing, um, I don't know what the proper word is, little person wrestler, who MLW fans and crowds just love. He is extremely over, and he has had this ongoing storyline with the real one, Enzo Amore, who's now known as just the real one. He attacked Microman, so they're going to have a match next week, I believe, Microman versus Real One. And then the show ended with, I'm sorry, before the show ended, we were seeing Johnny and Taya are Caesar Durant's. They've been hired by Caesar to be on his, and Caesar was abducted last week by who we believe were his henchmen, or at least wearing the masks of his henchmen. We haven't seen Caesar yet. This time we see Johnny and Taya pounding on Court Bauer's door, wanting to know where Caesar is, and Taya refuses to wrestle. Court says, if you don't wrestle, you'll be in breach of contract. So ultimately, he convinces her to wrestle. And that leads into the main event, which is Taya Valkyrie versus Billy Starks for her women's middleweight title. Really good match. Billy Starks is on everything. She's blowing up everywhere. I'm happy to see that. This was another good match. Taya won, and she probably should. She's a veteran, and she's a title holder. She'll hold the title probably for a while. Um, but Billy had some really good close falls. It was a good match. If you have time, check it out. It's not a must see, but it was a good match. I give it 3 out of 5 stars. This was a solid week of MLW. Hopefully, they continue this trend. So yeah, that's MLW in about 5 minutes. I'll bring CM back in, and we can move on to whatever we want to talk about next.
I appreciate you coming up or trying to make sure that you use the proper term for little person.
Well, I don't know. Like, can you say midget wrestler? I don't know.
No, don't do that.
Sorry.
Don't.
So a little person wrestler. Yeah. And he's a little person too. I mean, he's like 2.5 feet. So the name Microman is definitely it fits. So
Yeah. So we're gonna move on before we get ourselves canceled. Uh,
shall we talk about Dark Elevation or Dark?
okay, let's talk about Dark Elevation comes on first.
Yes.
Did anything stand out to you on Dark Elevation this week?
No, I don't believe so. It definitely didn't make any of my three must see matches. Let's see. The only thing that I would say, no, I mean the best match on that Dark Elevation was Dark Order versus Tony Nese and Ari Daivari. That was everything else was basically a squash for an exhibition. I mean, I'm
That
happy.
what was it on Dark Elevation?
What?
Was that on Dark Elevation?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's tough because
weeks.
well, it's not only one of those weeks, but like those guys are on every episode of Dark and Dark Elevation, so it blends together in like different conglomerations of people. So it's like because Davari was on both episodes this week, and just with different people, so it's definitely confusing. I did like seeing Keith Lee and Dustin Rhodes together. I why are if you're not gonna do, what are we doing with them? I mean, they're a tag team, but they're only on Dark Elevation Wrestling jobbers. Like, are you trying to get them some victories so that you can have, in theory, because they, victories count and you rank these guys that they're moving up the ladder by this? I mean, they can eventually be in the title picture, or they're just using them to tread water? I mean, what's going on here?
I think it's until they figure out the holding pattern they're in and they get everything squared away they want it to be in terms of like where they want to go with characters and everything. I also think they don't want to do too much before Mania season with like Dustin and Keith Lee, because that could start a whole bunch of mess that doesn't need to be started with Cody. So let's just kind of keep them in a holding pattern. We'll go from there. Hopefully after next week it changes. So
yeah, but no, this was a basically missable episode of Dark Elevation, I thought.
It was kind of the same for me for Dark.
Yeah. My honorable mention, my number 4 match was Juice and Leon Ruff. Just because I really like both guys. I thought it was definitely the best match on that show. And it got my honorable mention for match to check out.
I did like seeing not Tony Storm. I did like seeing Kiera Hogan again. That was cool. I was very happy to see her. We need more of her.
I agree with that.
Yeah, but that's about it. All I got for that.
That's about all I got for that, too. ROH?
Moving on. ROH, all of it. You know what? You can skip Dark and Dark Elevation and just watch ROH. It's like
no doubt.
2 hours, and so is Dark and Dark Elevation. They put them together. Just watch ROH. Let me see. Do I have a favorite match here? Can I just pick one?
So all 3 of my must-see matches are from Ring of Honor, from Ring of Honor this week.
Yeah, mine are just watch Ring of Honor. I can't pick a favorite match. This Ring of Honor, how it's put together, the promo with Claudio and Eddie, it just worked. For me, as close to the person that we can get for a wrestling show without it being like a major thing. I think, yeah, all of my things to watch came from Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
And even then I just put watch Ring of Honor because I couldn't pick three.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I thought by the time it was done, I was like, oh, yeah, they're all just Ring of Honor matches. Okay. When I was started to look at like all the results from all the shows, I was like, yeah, I mean, it was a very solid show. What I don't understand is why he's got to have somebody booking Ring of Honor. It can't be Tony because he can't be so good and so bad at the same time. Like Ring
Well,
of Honor right now is so on fire. The pacing is right. The matches are right. The booking is done good. It's it's done in such a way that how can Dynamite and Rampage be so much less with the same person doing all three? Like it doesn't make sense.
well, it's twofold. Remember, Tony was really good at the beginning of Dynamite.
That's
He
true.
was really good, and
That's true.
Dark as well. Like he was really good at booking, and then all of a sudden he sucked, or whoever was working with him sucked. Uh, but you also have to remember with ROH, you have people there like Marita Canellis Bennett, who works really well with the women and who's also really good at using her words to persuade people to do what she wants.
Yeah.
And she's really, really talented at booking
Very,
women.
very
And she
talented.
knows how to craft storylines and move things. And heck, she is really, really good at that. So I personally think that she plays a major factor in things. I also think that it plays a major factor into the fact that ROH has a lot of veterans within the company, and if he messes up ROH, we might not see CHK again.
There is that. There is that.
And he has kind of like a smaller roster, so he has to really develop and focus. Remember when he had a smaller roster on
Yeah.
AEW? That's when you had a lot more stories. I think that this shift will be really good. I also think having an additional hour of wrestling and then just having some of your roster switch to just being Rampage, and then that third hour, that additional hour, will really, really help because then you have like three different rosters. And while that could be confusing with storylines, it also splits up your roster.
Yeah.
And it's not the same folks over and over again.
I agree.
Um,
I agree.
Ring of Honor, go out of your way to watch it. Go out of your way to watch the Eddie Claudio promo. For the people who don't seem to like Google, it explains why Eddie Kingston is so justified in his hatred of Claudio, bougie European ass.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that there wasn't a bad match on this show. There were some that I thought were better. I mean, I did rank a couple, but there was not a bad match on the show. Everything was good. Every segment was solid.
On a
Um,
show that featured a Brian Cage match. We're
yeah,
seeing this.
yeah,
Oh, if Brian Cage can be pulled out and have a great match on AEW TV, aka ROH, go out of your way to watch it. Mark Briscoe is going to be TV champ pretty soon. So go out of your way to watch that.
yeah.
But yeah, let's talk about Impact.
Okay.
Sad about Impact right now.
Yeah, it feels down for me. I this was supposed to be the show leading into last night's Sacrifice. It didn't feel much like a go home show. Sacrifice was an okay pay per view, but this Impact definitely. I mean, for me, I thought the best match of the show was the opener six man with um, Time Machine versus By Design. That was the best match for me. Other than that, I didn't. I mean,
Time Machine can definitely pull out
yeah,
a match from
yeah.
anybody.
I mean, anytime that I can see, those three Kushidas, Shelly, and Sabin on my TV, I'm happy. So whoever they're wrestling, and they wrestled. I mean, it was a good match. They had, the competition was decent. So I mean, By Design is okay. They're serviceable. They're good hands. So yeah. I mean, nothing really else to talk about, in my opinion, honestly. I mean, none of the three matches that I had that I thought we should watch were all from ROH. Nothing from, I mean, you could watch it because, again, it's the go home show before Sacrifice, but it wasn't if you already seen Sacrifice, then you don't need to watch that Impact. If you haven't, so you might want to, but really all it is a mixture of everyone that's going to be on Sacrifice fighting each other, but in either a tag team venue or mixing it up so that the match is a little bit different than the match that's going to happen the next day.
They should this week for Impact. I get why they didn't, but they could have.
Yeah, they need to kick it into high gear. Impact was really good for a while, and now it seems to be on the decline, or it has been for the last month and a half or so.
I wouldn't say it's on the decline. I would say that it's figuring out what it wants to do, but it's also the fact that you have to compete with, like, I have an idea of how I want to book things, and then the next thing I know, Tony Khan has signed Ty Valkyrie.
Yeah.
So what do we
Yeah.
do then?
Yeah. It always feels like a roller coaster for me, and right now it just feels like it's kind of on the downside of that roller coaster, waiting to kind of probably go up again. Hopefully, you know what I mean. Not like a crash, but just
I think since we've lost Taya, Josh Alexander is injured,
yeah.
and we're not quite sure about Mickey. If we can just keep those three kind of out of storylines for right now, and for God's sake, never put Bully Ray and Tommy Dreamer on my screen fighting again.
Yeah, that was terrible. I mean, that brought the whole sacrifice pay-per-view down. I
The
mean,
fact that the highlight was goddamn Moray.
yeah, that was. To be fair, that Code Red or
That
Destroyer was
was
definitely.
the highlight.
It was, and I guess without that whole segment, you don't get that highlight of the whole pay-per-view. But still, man, watching Tommy Dreamer and Bully Ray was just
And
it was brutal.
now the enforcer, the NHL enforcer, no, yeah,
Yeah,
NHL,
yeah,
NHL enforcer has a match with Bully Ray. He's in a sick. It's just no, it's a lot. I don't want to ever.
and the problem that I have with it is that you have so many really good stars, established stars in Impact, and Bully Ray is your focus. Like he's the biggest. It seems to me the biggest segment of Impact right now. The most focused. He's involved with the owner. He's doing all this other stuff. Everyone's involved with him. He's got Masha in his corner. He's dueling with the women's champion. He seems to be the big, and he's fucking 50 years old and should be off my TV screen. Like,
He's
why?
only 50.
I don't even know if he's quite 50 yet. He
I
might only be.
swore he was like 65. I think hatred makes him age weird.
There you go.
But yeah.
Yeah. So
Most of everything was skippable, but ROH.
ROH.
If you don't watch anything else wrestling, ROH, Vikingo versus El Hijo del Vikingo versus Kenny Omega. Watch that. And watch all the segments with Stokely. You'll laugh. You'll be like, holy shit, how does a human do that? And then ROH comes on and you're just like, oh, this is wrestling. It's like a nice warm hug. So you got those. But our last show, unless you have something else to pop on up there.
Nope.
BTE this week was good. You didn't even have to leave because this BTE was like fucking hilarious. We do have, it opens up with like them being in the airport and they're just talking about traveling because to a segment where Kenny is like all happy about being in Canada. And he's talking about this is the biggest like crowd he's ever wrestled in front of in Canada. He's like all nervous. It's so cute. Kenny being so nervous and just scared and like trying to play it off. He is so adorable. He is such a nerd.
It definitely brings a human aspect to these guys that you don't get. I mean, if you just watch Rampage or Dynamite or anything where they're just wrestling, you don't get to appreciate any of that kind of stuff. And it's the reality is that even though these are people that do things that in theory we can't do or don't want to do or aren't willing to do, whatever the case may be, and they're superstars, when you see them in this light, it really brings them down to a relatable level, and you realize that some of these guys really are just everyday guys. I mean, it's interesting. It's very interesting.
I'll be honest, that is why I love watching BTE. Even though they have like recurring storylines, it's also nice to see them just kind of sit down. And like when they used to do Ask a Wrestler and like they would interview wrestlers as they're eating with younger guys. Like I remember, I think it was Jungle Boy, and they were like having a conversation with him, and it gave him like a personality. It gave him depth. It gave him interesting things. Now, if Marty Scurll and what was his name? Flip Gordon had managed to do what the fuck they were supposed to do. We're getting a lot better situation as far as that. But the other ones, they've done well.
Yeah.
But up comes Stu as the Dark Order. So Hangman comes in the Dark Order's the men's locker room, and Dark Order is there and like, oh, what's up? And he's like, Stu, they're like making small talk, and like Stu is like, so where's Anna and 10 and 5? And they're like, well,
Right. Well,
tell him. And he's like, they were like, well, haven't you been watching? He was like, no, me, Steve, and Kevin, we made a pact not to watch the product, referencing a tweet Kevin Nash tweeted about him and Stone Cold saying they weren't going to watch AEW. And like how he was like, oh, so when I left,
y'all just kept doing this wrestling.
Y'all kept doing the wrestling thing? And they were like, yeah, it's a wrestling company. He was like, it didn't stop because
I was laughing so hard.
And the funny thing is, with the ratings decline, it started when Stu left the company. And you know the ratings increases happened because Stu has come back. Stu equals ratings.
Stu equals ratings. There you go. You heard it here first.
They're cracking up. Like, you can see they're trying not to laugh. Hangman, they're thanking Hangman for being their friend while Stu was going. And Stu was just over there like, he was like, it's awkward that you guys kept wrestling when I wasn't here. But, you know, I'm glad that you guys kept wrestling even though I wasn't here. It's still awkward. And he's like, still trying to figure out what happened with 10 and 5. And like, it's hilarious because he's like, I don't know.
That first hug at the opening scene between him and Hangman, where all the other guys were like, because you got a huge hug, like they were like fucking best friends of all time. It was hysterical.
Yeah. Without 5, there's like really awkward because he was like the one who was cool with 5. Oh, and I forgot Colt. He was like, "Where's Colt?" And they were just like,
"We don't know."
Hangman was just like,
"Yep." No, it was hysterical.
That was fucking funny, but we do in a very interesting way where Hangman thanks them for being his friend and like being genuine in a time when he really needed them, and they all just kind of leave. And Stu, it ends with Stu being like, without Anna here, how am I gonna get hurt? So he throws himself across the table, dusts stuff off, and like goes out. So I want to see Anna's reaction to him coming back.
The scene of him throwing himself across the table, I was like, oh hell no.
It goes into the Hollywood hump, right? His girlfriend is giving him hell. He just is not.
He's in the doctor's office though, right?
Yeah, everything that could kind of go bad for him went bad. Yeah, numbing cream. It ends up right. There's just too many hijinks in like this short little scene. It's hard to remember. But he gets numbing cream on the back of his hand, and then he wipes it out on his face. And then he like starts. He's like, he puts a thing over his face so nobody can see him. He says that's what it might have been Botox. I don't know. But that shit was funny because his girlfriend was giving him hell. His girlfriend is hilarious. I do want to watch her show when it comes out. It's already out now, but I'll put it on my list to potentially watch when I remember. We'll see.
Yeah, it sounds like it could be funny for sure.
Yeah, maybe once it gets like 3 episodes because I like binge watch stuff. So that was really cool. And then we go into Trent Beretta breaking the rules. And that is Leva Bates singing that, by the way. I did not know that. And Trent is very wholesomely watching lesbians rank men. And they're like, how long is the video? And he's like, I think it's like 12 minutes or something. I think he like scrolled fast and then went back and it's like, Trent Beretta, he's breaking the rules. We love the theme song.
That fucking theme song is amazing.
And the last segment is Kenny is the Elite versus Death Triangle, not Death Triangle, versus House
House
of
of Black.
and the Jazz Holes.
Yeah.
Um,
At a house show. I think it was
no,
their.
no, that was Dynamite.
Oh, was it Dynamite?
Yeah, they came
Okay.
out. Kenny and Chris came after Rampage, I think, and came out and
Okay.
talked. I don't
For
know
some
why
reason, I
Kenny
thought
was.
that match was at a house show. I thought they did a house show when they were in in England, and I thought that match was at a house show, but maybe not.
Mm-mm,
Okay.
mm-mm, mm-mm.
Yeah, I mean, it was Brandon Cutler basically filming the show, or from his perspective, the match from his perspective.
That match was so cool from Cutler's perspective.
It was.
But I did not see Kenny's face when Jericho tagged in and he heard the pop and he realized who it was. That was fucking cool. That whole thing was cool. And just the different angles. And then to see his noticing of Hangman come out and the Blackpool Combat Club, and then from his angle to see the Elite roll up and to see Kenny roll out and the emotions on Kenny's face as Cutler's filming is really good because I'm like, this seems very real. Because all these cameras, he's not looking at any of them. He's really good at acting if this is acting. And then it leads into, of course, once BCC leaves, the Jacksons roll out or the Young Bucks roll out, and we go from there. And it ends with Matt Jackson firing up the old group message and sending a message, and Nick's in, Matt's in, Hangman's in, Kenny has left the group. I cannot tell you how many times I have seen the meme already of Kenny has left the group across Real Housewives, Basketball Wives, Vanderpump Rules, Reddit, everywhere that you could put the meme, they have put that meme. Kenny has left the chat. It is now one of the most meme things that I've seen, along with Kim from Real Housewives and the cat being like, and the cat's looking at her like, and currently, goodbye, Kyle, as you go up the stairs. So yeah, y'all are in great meme company. Kenny has left the chat. So we are going to leave the chat today and get ready for ALW to hop on over and film the cookout a little bit early. You guys will see that. It's premiering starting live at 9:30. So I'm going to go ahead and take us out. Catch us live on Tuesdays regularly for the cookout at 10:30 p.m. Come for the wrestling, stay for the chaos. On Wednesdays, we drop All for Naught, which is a wrap of Raw and NXT. They watch it so you don't have to. Of course, we are live on Fridays or Friday Night Fights starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, where we go live and watch Friday Night SmackDown, AEW Rampage. And next week,
It's gonna be a shit show of watch logs, so we'll figure that out.
Next week, just forget that schedule I said, because next week is WrestleMania week, and holy shit, everybody, their baby mama, baby daddy, sister, brother, cousins, uncles, aunts, not the ones in like certain rural places that are the same people. Everybody in the family tree is having their own wrestling event. So just pay attention to our social media to find us, because otherwise, shit, you go miss a show. I might miss a show. Who knows what's going to happen next week? It's Mania week, guys. That's the wrestling new year. Holy shit, it's going to be so much wrestling.
A lot of wrestling.
So much wrestling. GCW has like 3 days.
I know.
72 hours worth of wrestling.
Yeah. Yep. All right, y'all. We'll see you on the next one.